Kia ora koutou, welcome back to In the Green. Today was a mix of clean setups and a clumsy slip. 2 trades and 1 accidental buy that cost me. Let's break it down. So when I first got up this morning, NVTS was one of the leading gainers, and I think XAGE was also doing quite well as well. It was pulling back, I think, XAGE, so I didn't really watch that. NVTS was pulling back below VWAP, but I noticed here that it was breaking up over this pivot point, pushing back with volume through to VWAP. So I'll just move the chart a little bit so you can see it a bit better. So it's volume has increased here, it's pushing back up to VWAP, and I saw that break there. I didn't take this entry, so I generally like to trade above VWAP, or as it's breaking, I'll take the break of VWAP. Sometimes, depending on what it is, I might take a trade down here. So aggressive entry would have been in here as it made this micro pullback here and pushed higher. As volume came in, I waited until it actually came up here and broke VWAP. So it broke up through here and then sold off. I got in here at 498 on this candle, around here. What's that? That's 5 there. So yeah, 498 was about there. So that was my entry there, looking for the breakthrough VWAP and then selling. My target was around 510 to 515 was sort of around my target range, target price. What happened? Why did I sell at 499? I waited 3 candles basically for it to break over through VWAP, and there seemed to be a lot of selling around 503, 502, 501, and it just wasn't breaking through that level. And I've been trying to reduce my holding time. So I thought if it hadn't broken by this 3rd candle, I was going to take my exit. And if I bring the video up, it's probably easier to see. So I'll bring this up here. And I'll move it back to where it should be on NVTS here. So this is where it's broken up. I'm going to double speed it just to get through there. It pushes out, breaks through VWAP there, and I'm looking at taking my exit entry. Took my entry there as it at 498. It pushed up again to about 507 and pulled back. So I'm just waiting for it to break again. It did pull back a little bit here, but I wasn't too concerned about that yet. Next candle showed green, and I'm just waiting for it to break. I'm looking for, the volume to come in and for it to break up. So on the level 2 here, time and sales, you can see that there's some green coming through on this candle. It's looking like it's going to push and break over, slowly grinding up, but gets to 504, bit of selling comes in, more selling comes in, it drops down to 502, and there's just a lot of selling, a lot of red on the tape. And it's just not breaking through. So that sort of, not that got me worried, I just thought maybe it's not going to go. It's not going to break through that level, and it's going to retreat. So I got out there when it sort of dropped down to 499 on the ask, on the bid, sorry. And I got out there and then it broke. not quite straight after I sold, but it broke, you know, maybe 5 or so seconds, 5 to 10 seconds later, if I rewind it actually. And here, oh no, I haven't quite sold there. Yep, there we go. So you can see here it's dropped down to $4.99. I sold and got out at $4.99 on the bid. And then it's a bit of red. So a lot of red coming through on the tape and just didn't think it was going to go. And then in come the big green orders that just, you know, skyrocketed up to 510, 515, and this was where I was looking at taking my exit for my profit, but I got shaken out at 54 cents I made on that trade. So not a great start to the morning, missing my trade. And then after this, you know, I really could have bought the dip when it came back and retested VWAP. So if I stop the video there, so if you look on the chart here, it actually pulled back down to VWAP and retested VWAP. And there was an opportunity, aggressive entry here on that big dip to buy in there. It did push again up to, you know, over 530, 535. So that would have been a good trade. Pretty aggressive though, but yeah. But it sort of went, it dipped again back down to VWAP here, and then rallied straight back up. So a bit of a flush down here and buy the dip and get back in. Don't really want to be buying dips like that. It's not really a strategy that I like, mainly because often I buy the dip and it just keeps dipping and I end up on the wrong side of the trade. But in this instance, it did hold up and actually push higher up to 549. Yeah. But with my small account at the moment, I only bought 54 shares, so yeah, wasn't so much of an issue. Maybe I should have held a little bit longer. Maybe I should have held to the end of that third candle. I'd already held through most of this first candle, then second and third, there's that red one there, and then I started holding through the initial phase of this candle, but I got out, you know, 10 seconds before it actually broke. This stock did okay. It's sort of a bit choppy. Once it made the high, it was a bit choppy, but yeah, went sideways, and then like I was thinking about getting in along here again, but being on the back side of the move now, I decided no, that wasn't a good move, and lucky I didn't, because then it, you know, flushed here, dumped back below the VWAP, bit of a drop there. It's that 20, you know, 50 cent drop in that candle. So that was it for NVTS for me. After that, it sort of went sideways through pre-market and then dropped into the open. So the next stock that I traded was BON. So BON, I was a little bit slow at getting in on this. Popped up here, it was a cheaper stock as well, so yeah, but it had news, and it so it met my stock criteria, which was good. Popped up here, pulled back, and sort of held the 20 EMA here, pushed up through VWAP, and this was probably, you know, an entry here as it broke over this broke through that high there was the entry, or down here as it pulled back down to VWAP to retest, there was an entry there as it pushed higher, maybe through here at 170, getting out at 195, 196. But I bought the micro pullback here. Maybe not the best entry with a couple of doji candles there, but I got in here looking for it to push back higher. It did reverse and did hold on the 9 EMA. So if I'd been a bit more patient, maybe I could have gotten in a bit lower at 182, but not a major, not that bad of an entry, 189. As it pushed up higher, I got out at 198, which is a good fill, not right at the top, but a decent fill there. Got 9 cents a share, and at 142 shares, I got $12.07 profit on that trade there. Didn't hold it longer and didn't re-enter. It did go sideways here for a bit. Could have looked at re-entering on the 9 EMA again. So entering in here as it held this level for it to break over, and having a pretty tight stop down here just below. So if it broke down below that level, to stop out around 185, around there. And so that would be an aggressive entry there. A more confirmed entry would have been as it broke through that level there at 197, 198 for a push higher. But that's at the open, so I didn't take this trade here because it was coming into the open. I didn't want to be holding into the open in case it, the bottom fell out of it and it dumped. It didn't. It actually rallied and went higher. And if I was to take a trade at the open, this is probably where it should have been here at this level as it pulled back into this level here, and taking a trade around 215, 210 to be in it there for the push higher. So that would have been an okay trade, but also it's kind of going sideways through this range here. So waiting for that break up through there and being in on that micro pullback here to break over 250, break that $half mark, would have been a good trade there as well. But didn't trade that. I'd pretty much finished for the day actually. If I'd taken the $12, I'd had a couple trades. I wasn't feeling that confident today. That first trade getting shaken out of that sort of just made me feel a little bit off. So it didn't quite feel like I was in sync today, and I was happy with taking the 9 cents out of the market today, and that was pretty much it. So I watched the open a bit with BON, and I sort of called it a day. So there were other stocks that I sort of watched during pre-market because there was a big gap between my first trade and my second trade. So SINT sort of popped up, DGXX popped up, GRI, KDZ, KIDZ and POAI all popped up, and I watched them, but I traded none of them. I think SINT, GRI and POAI, I think they just rolled over straight away after the initial push. So they weren't tradable at all. And DGXX and KIDZ, I think it was, they sort of held up for a bit, but they didn't meet my criteria, but they weren't really my setup to trade, or they didn't meet my stock selection to trade anyway, so I didn't trade any of those. MLGO was a funny one because that was just sort of grinded up over pre-market, went from 170 to 185 to I think we went over $2.10 in the end. But that was, also not within my stock criteria, and just a grinder. So I don't really like trading those. So I didn't trade that. And BDRX did meet my criteria. I'll just bring that up a bit, BDRX. So this stock here in pre-market did meet my criteria, popped up here. It was a little bit cheaper though, around under $2, but pulled up here and then sort of went into sideways around VWAP. And I did think about taking an entry here at 175 as it was holding that level here, but I decided not to, just with a couple of these red candles here with big topping tails. I didn't like that. And the volume profile, the red candles were a lot bigger than the green. So, you know, you can see here, these red candle volume bars are, you know, there's more selling volume in there than buying. So I didn't really trust the stock to push. So I didn't get in here, and then it pushed up and then broke through that level here. And I just didn't buy in here at that whole $2 mark break. Did go up to 234, so would have been a decent trade getting in at the break of the $2, break of the whole dollar, to go to 234, but I didn't trade that. And after that, it just rolled over, and I wasn't interested in BDRX after that. So that was pretty much it. And then while I was doing my notes, so after I trade, I always go through and write up, or most of the time I'll write up my notes and enter my data into my chart. So I was entering my data into the chart so that I can, you know, record all my trades. And I'll bring up a video actually. BD, where are we? BON. Here. This is it. Yeah, this is it here. Oh no, that's the trade, first trade. Where is it? It is at, here it is. So I was watching BDRX, and I'll just speed it, fast forward a bit. So watching BDRX, and then I saw BON. If you look down here on this section, the flashing shows that there's price action changing and stuff like that, buying and selling going on. So I saw BON was sort of pushing up again to VWAP. So I just decided to change over to BON. So you can see here I've just typed in BON to change, and suddenly I'm in a trade. So what I think I did was, when I pushed enter to change the chart to BON, I double tapped the return key or the enter key on my keyboard, and as soon as it switched charts, the buy key is selected, I'm guessing, and it bought me in 115 shares at $2.11 on BON. And straight away I was down $5. And then I entered in thing to sell, and I thought, we'll just see, it's pushed up to VWAP, rejected off VWAP, and come back down to the 9 EMA, 20 EMA. And I thought, well, let's see if it rallies again and pushes back up and can break VWAP. So I held it, looking for it to push back up, and it did. It pushed back up to 211. And did I sell? No. I was looking for it to push through VWAP now to make a profit. It didn't. It pulled back. And you can see here it pulled back considerably. Well, not considerably, it pulled back 10, 11 cents down to $2. I think it went under $2 at one point. If I won't play the video, I'll bring up the chart actually, BON. So this was an accidental trade, and this can happen from time to time, whether it's a hotkey slip, especially if you've got orders that, or hotkeys that you don't need to confirm the order, they just go straight in, which is generally how I trade. Although in this setup I'm not using hotkeys, I'm using the mouse to click the buy buttons and that sort of thing. So I actually held it for, what's that, 10, 15 minutes. I held it for about 15 minutes. And it pulled back all the way down to 195 and then pushed back up. When it got to 208, I thought, nah, I think I'll just get out. I'm taking a loss, but that's okay. If it's rolling over, because it's come up here, it's actually sort of on a downward, trend at the moment. And I thought, I'm just going to get out. So I took the loss there at 205 and was down $6. I can't remember what it was, $6.87 loss, I think, on that. So that meant I was down on the day from around $12 to around $6 now, or just under $6. And then it rallied. It pulled back again, back down to 2, pushed up to where I entered around 211, 212, pulled back again, and then pushed up, broke through VWAP and went up to 228. So that was a bit annoying, but yeah, it was fine, nothing massive. That was just a stupid mistake, and really it should have gotten out straight away when it pushed to 211, back to my entry anyway. So that was the frustrating accidental trade, and have to be careful of that in the future. When I'm trading, swapping between charts, don't use the enter key, use the mouse to confirm the ticker when changing my chart. Yeah. So yeah, got to stay sharp even between those trades and watch what I'm clicking. So at the end of the day, I am down, well, still got a profit of 571, and yeah, I was up 1261, and then with fees though, to be honest, after I add fees in, I'll probably be red, just under, and I'll probably be red like maybe 50 cents or something like that. So yeah, not great. But then again, it's not a massive loss either, so that's fine. And I was happy with the trade on BON, and I'm happy with the entry for NVTS. So positives to take away from today, but just a silly mistake that really took the profit out of the day. So I felt a little off today. I think that early NVTS exit messed with my confidence a bit, made me hesitate when other opportunities came up. Still, I'm happy with the BON trade and staying selective. The accidental entry sucks, but it didn't blow up the day. So a total profit of $5.73, not much, and really after fees, it may be in the red. But oh well, on to the next. I'll see you tomorrow. Hei a popo.